Uh, all right, we are live, and here we go. So, all right, hey everyone, my name is Joshua Jack. I'm your host. My co-host
Tim Izzo.
And tonight we have a special program. Actually, every time we do this is a special program because we don't know what we're doing. So every time we do this is very special to us. So we are in the 11th episode, and it is Tuesday evening, and you know what time that is for? It is time for another episode of Good Questions, Bad Answers, where you provide us with good questions, or we provide ourselves with good questions, and then we continue to belabor it with bad answers. Or actually, we don't try to give bad answers, but that's just a disclaimer we put out there because heaven forbid you do something that we say and it falls horribly in your face. We can always say, hey, it was a bad answer. It's in the title. Don't listen to us. But anyway, so if you're spending your evening with us tonight, I just want to say thank you for spending your time with us. If you wouldn't mind saying hello, tell us where you're watching from. If you're watching this in the future, if you wouldn't mind hashtagging replay, it lets us know it's being watched, and we're always grateful for that. And if you're listening to this on podcast, well, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for spending your time with us. And you can come listen to us and watch us live Tuesday evenings at 6:30 Central Standard Time on Good Questions, Bad Answers Facebook page. So all that being said, tonight we're going to cover something that is near and dear to Tim's heart. No pressure, Tim. No. And we're going to talk about, first we're going to talk about Amazon FBA. And the question, and that's something else that we're going to kind of get back to because the whole point of the show is good questions, bad answers. So every week we're going to try to answer a question, whatever it is. And it could be about business. It could be about relationships. It could be about whatever. And so we're kind of, that was the whole original intent behind this when we first started. So we're kind of getting back on track with that as our guide. So this week we're going to answer, what can I do to get involved in Amazon FBA? And so hopefully we'll answer that. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to use the comments, and we will pop them up on here. Like I said, if you are watching this now, be sure to say hello. And yeah, so Tim, how was your week? Well, first off, before we get into that, let's just have some chat. Let's just chat because we're still warming up. We're getting warmed up. Let's relax. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Actually, you know what? We should change the podcast to let's have a beer. By the way, this is just water in here. I don't drink above adult beverages through the week. I save it for the weekend because I'm trying to lose weight. So.
Speaking of which, I saw this it's a crazy video in one of my Amazon Facebook groups, and apparently these people were doing keyword research or whatever, and they put like the company's name is Helium 10, and somehow they're like, well, I wonder if we can combine certain keywords like helium and alcohol. And so they went out and they found there's apparently tequila that's infused with helium. And they got on live and they did some shots while they're doing it. And as soon as they take the shot, they sound like high-pitched voices. The helium just hits them.
That's weird.
My guess is that when you take a shot, you could, if you breathe in, you almost cough because it's so harsh. My guess is that it releases the hydrogen or the helium, and then you breathe that in. Yeah, it's crazy. I've never heard of it or seen it before, but
so that's great.
Blown away.
You can go around and sound like a drunk chipmunk. That's awesome.
Needless to say, it was one of the least effective lives that I think they've done in their group. They could not keep a straight face, and they had to end it. So
heck, now I want to go get some helium just so we can add some zest to the show. Chris says hello. Hey, Chris, man, glad that you're here.
Hey,
we're always appreciative. And by the way, this show is brought to you by Oasis Preferred Maintenance. If you like clean water, either for industrial or commercial, or even for your personal residential, be sure to reach out to Oasis Preferred Maintenance. They can come and clean all your systems. So if you have a restaurant and you're worried about the water that you have and the ice that you make for your customers, and if you live in the Pensacola area, be sure to reach out to Oasis Preferred Maintenance. They're great. All right. And Justin says, what up, fellas? What up with you, Justin?
Hey, Justin.
Tell us about your week, man. Actually, you know what? We need to have him on the show at some point if
Yeah.
he's interested, because this guy is always camping. That's the lifestyle I want. I mean, dude, he's always on Facebook, like sharing photos of all the camps that he goes through to in the Gulf Coast area. And my wife and I, we like to pick. I can't even talk. We like to pick a place on the map, and we like to go investigate it. Right? We like to go all over. We'll pick up these small towns, and we'll go take pictures of it. Well, Justin, I guess he does the same thing, but instead of take pictures, he just goes and camps there, and I think that's such a neat thing. So Justin,
how do you go about picking those locations? Do you guys just like spin a globe and wherever your finger lands, or like how do you do research historic? Yeah. Well,
actually,
I want to hear Justin eventually, but yeah, exactly.
Justin too. And Justin, you can pop on there, and if you want to answer that, we'll answer that question too tonight. How do you pick a place to go to? So for when my wife and I, when we go out and take pictures, usually it depends on. Okay, so we have a lot of Facebook groups that we follow when it comes to wildlife,
Gotcha.
Louisiana nature, things of that nature. And if we see something that's really interesting or piques our interest, we're like, well, we want to go see it. Like this past weekend, we went out to, and it was about 3 hours away, 2.5. And we went out to Lake Martin, which is not in the middle of nowhere. It's near a town. It's near a city, Lafayette, Louisiana. But it's this lake, and it's beautiful. I mean, there was alligators, there was birds, and we got some really good photos. In fact, my wife just posted on our photography page, 2 Jack's Photography. Hint, hint, wink, wink, if you want to go there and check it out. And if you like the page, be sure to like it. But anyway, we got some really good photos of gators. And that's one good thing that I really enjoy as a hobby with my wife, is we enjoy that. We enjoy, and then sometimes we'll just look at the map and see what's around, or we'll say, hey, what's cool in Louisiana? What's there to go check out? Or what are points of interest that we can go look at? And either through history, like at some point I want to go to Vicksburg, Mississippi, which is about 3 hours away, 3.5 hours, because I like history. And that was one of the major Civil War battles way back in the day. So at some point we'll go do that. So we kind of fluctuate between wildlife, and sometimes we'll just pick a town and we'll go there just to see what's there, and then we'll find something that like a hole in the wall place to go eat at. So we enjoy that too. We like to, hey, good eats in the area, and then the more mom and pop, the better. And that's kind of cool, because I think a lot of people miss that. Like I think people need more adventure in their life, because when you adventure in your life, it broadens your horizon about what's out there, right? So, now I can say, I know what Lake Martin looks like. I know what St. Francisville looks like. I know what, so you know what these little places look like. And so when you make these decisions, or, you know what I mean? It broadens your horizon, and it helps you to make better decisions, because you can pull from all these different areas. So that's why we like to do it.
What's one of the coolest things you've seen on your trips, whether it's an animal or like a historical thing, or like, what was one of the most exciting things that you remember?
Well, let me tell you. There was one time way back. No, I'm just kidding. When we lived in Arizona, and we had a motorcycle, or we still have a motorcycle, and it's a 2005 Road King Harley Davidson, and we went out, and we just wanted to take a loop. So we lived kind of near Tucson, so we went from where we lived down to Tucson, and then we took some back roads up to it's called the Florence Kelvin Highway, and it says highway, so you think, oh, it's a highway, shouldn't be too bad, right? Well, we get on it, and so, like I said, it looked like this big loop, and it looked like, okay, it takes about 3 or 4 hours to do, and not a big deal. And so and the cool thing about Arizona is all these little towns have really something unique about them. And if you ever get a chance to go out to Arizona, it's a beautiful area. I mean, just a lot of character, a lot of sense of adventure. I mean, you can go 30 minutes and feel like you're adventuring, because you are out by yourself. And in the desert, I mean, you have all these views you can see, And anyway, so we get on our motorcycle, and like I said, it's a heavy motorcycle. It's not made for off-road. For highway use or interstate travel, it's great. But so we made a split decision. Instead of going all the way around the circle, we decided, hey, you know what? This Florence Kelvin Highway, it looks like it'll shave off 30 minutes. Why don't we go ahead and take that? And we did. And sometimes this goes to show that, when you roll the dice, sometimes things don't work out and you just roll with the punches, right? Well, halfway in, the road peters out into primitive road. So it turns into primitive washboard dirt road. And here I am on this big Harley, and my wife's on the back, and it scared me, man, because like it started going over mountain passes, and it started like there were some sheer drop offs on some areas. I mean, and when I say drop offs, I mean it wasn't like cliff, but it would have hurt had I gone off, and that scared me, man. Like talk about pucker factor, my white knuckling it, and having since the bike was so heavy, it was just bouncing all over the place. And so what I thought was going to shave off 30 minutes actually ended up being like an extra, hour and a half.
Oh man.
But I would say that was the most adventurous adventure we went on. But yeah, now I know. Justin says, now I know. You're right. Now I know that the Florence Kelvin Highway is crap for a big motorcycle. But if you had a dirt bike, or if you had like a scrambler or a lighter bike, I mean, that'd be a great experience. Or like one of those adventure type bikes like KTM or something like that. But we found some really cool places like Bisbee, Arizona, Jerome, Arizona. Around here in Louisiana, there's a place called Francisville that was really neat. Up there, we saw this tree that actually it was like a cedar and oak that grew together. In fact, I think the cedar is beside the oak. Like it's
interesting.
It's really neat. So yeah, like I said, when you go travel, you get to see these cool little things, and then if you're creative or you like to write or you like to think about different things, I mean, it's kind of cool because the more you see, the more you can kind of draw from. And then like the more experiences you go through, not just seeing these things, but the adventure. Like now, like Justin says, now I know that road. If I ever write a book, I can. Holy crap! He's from St. Francisville. I thought you were from Pace. Now we know, because it's a small town. Like it's not that large, but yeah. So that's pretty cool. What about you? What's your favorite? What?
Oh, geez. That's a good question.
Yeah, right. On the spot. Me neither.
I don't know. I have a memory of going up to Montreal, Canada, and that was a really cool city. Like we went to, I think there was I think it was like a indoor, or it was like a dome that had wildlife in it, and it was like cool. So you get to go inside, and there's like birds flying all around you, and stuff like that, and lots of animals just in the trees and stuff like that. So that was like one of the coolest things. I also got to go to a Montreal baseball game when they used to be a team. And it was the weirdest thing, because I'm used to being in New York, like Yankees games, or New Yorkers are loud or whatever. But when we went to Montreal, when someone would hit a home run, it was the quietest stadium I've ever heard. People were just clapping. No one was cheering. There's no voices, just clapping.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, this is the most unenthusiastic baseball game I've ever been to.
So I guess baseball clap is a thing, kind of like golf.
It's a thing,
yeah. Oh wow, it kind of goes along with the stereotype that you have of like Canadians, right? Like the whole.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm clapping for those that can't see me. All right, and Justin was born in Zachary, which I haven't been there. I think that's another small town. Well, I'll have to put that on the list to go see, just to see where Justin was born. So, Justin, like I said, when you pick a place to go, which if you want to hop on, you can. If you can't, I understand. No pressure either way. Actually, for anybody that wants to hop on and ask some questions or talk, be sure to click on the link and join us, and we'll bring you on to chat. But if you can't, no pressure, no worries. And that would be on the I put that link on the Good Questions Bad Answers Facebook page, so if you want to go there. But Justin, if you're still here, what makes you decide to go to the different campgrounds? Is it campgrounds that you continually go to, the same ones, or do you pick new ones to go to? I mean, how do you choose? And you can answer that whenever you can. All right. So my week has been pretty good, actually. Last week, I put together a group that's kind of around making ebooks, because I'm really kind of interested in getting into like ebook publishing myself, getting into the genre, or getting into the business of publishing books. So I'm really looking at learning how that works, and then eventually pairing up with other authors and maybe, because some people like to write and they don't like to market, right? Or they don't like to do different things. And I figure if I can fill that niche and help them bring their book to the market, that will be a good thing. It will help them, it will help me. And then in the process of, I mean, because I like writing, I haven't done much of it lately. I need to get back on the horse and actually like put that in my schedule to write, because I have a few stories in my mind that I really need to finish and get it out there. But so last week, I put together an accountability group with 8 to 9 people, and that's right, Jeremy Gertz is here. Amazon can publish. That's right. That's e-Kindle. You can do all sorts of things with that, and that's what I'm learning, actually, Jeremy. He actually works for Amazon, so great guy to know.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. No, he's pretty knowledgeable. So actually, it's funny, because I know that you talk about Amazon and stuff like that, and anyway, he would be a good person to reach out to if you ever have any questions regarding Amazon.
Interesting. Good to know.
But actually, we should have him on. Jeremy, if you're interested, we'll have to have you on the show to talk about your position. Yep, Kindle publishing. There he is. But so yeah, that's what I'm looking at doing myself, is learning how to do, because like I said, some people have problems when it comes to the technical aspect, or what they need to do, or formatting, or even editing. And so what I can do is I could come along and help authors. I could hire an editor, I can hire the book designer, the jacket, different things to help them publish. And then there's not only can you do the Amazon, there's different strategies you can do with Amazon, but you can also do print on demand for these different books. So instead of like buying a whole bunch of books at once and hoping you can sell it, well, and we can do a show on this some other time, but yeah, so he is down. So at some point we will get Jeremy on, and we can talk to him about his position with Amazon. So that would be actually really cool. And that's a great segue into tonight's topic. So
Amazon Tim, FBA.
Talk to us about Amazon, what you know, how you got started, and lessons learned to help other people get there.
Well, now there's like way more pressure. I've got like an actual Amazon person here.
Yeah. But, he'll correct you. Nah. Jeremy's really cool. He's a former. I met him in the Marine Corps, and actually we went to high school together. So it's interesting how people connect. So a real great guy. No pressure. Dude, the thing is like, seriously, you have done so much in your business that people here that are watching and listening in, they have no understanding of where you're at. But Tim here has done quite a lot, and his business is growing. He's connecting with a bunch of different people, and his business is growing. And so it would behoove you, if you're interested in FBA, to listen to what Tim has to say. But first, Justin says this. We like state parks. Park rangers keep everything under control pretty well. I look for places where the kids can learn something cool. Fort Pickens is one of our favorites, and we've taken about 40, 50. It helps if I learn to talk. And we've taken about 50 fort tours. We also take part in all the ranger programs. That's really cool, Justin, because you know what? That really helps. I think that's so cool. I mean, that's another thing I like about Justin, is he's very dedicated to his children. And, sadly, a lot of people that I see out there, I mean, there's a lot of people that I see that are dedicated to their children, and man, that's I love that every time I see it in other people. But there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that don't really do things with their child in mind, and that's cool because that type of activity will inspire curiosity and the love of learning. I think the biggest thing that helped me personally was just developing that love of learning, and I'm sure in your life too, right? You know, because that helps you.
Absolutely. I'm grateful that I have that love of learning. I just, I wish that could be, a job where you could just learn and not have to, always apply it to everything. But,
Well,
but
you
if
could,
like,
but it's student loans, and then you have to pay
yeah,
them back.
exactly. And yeah, but, no, and it's interesting you brought up the whole thing about, doing stuff for his kids and whatnot. That's actually the main reason why I got to Amazon.
Mhm.
Um, I have well, he's almost 3. He'll be 3 in September. 3-year-old boy, and he uh, he started growing so fast that I realized that I was missing things when he was like really young, and like he'd do something for like 3 days, and I'd be busy working, and by the
Mhm.
time I come home, I have to put him to bed and whatnot, and so I'd miss out on certain things that I could have enjoyed with him, and so I decided to look into how to make money from home so I could
Mhm.
spend more time with him and be there for him. And I came across this one guy's YouTube channel, and he showed like a bunch of different ways of how to make money. But the one that stuck out with me was Amazon FBA. And if you don't know what FBA is, it stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. And what it is you go, find products and you ship them into Amazon's warehouses. Amazon will then put them onto put it as put you as an active seller on a listing for those products, and they will ship the product to the customer and deal with customer service, which is amazing. It's so easy to have somebody that deals with that part of the business. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can get started with Amazon. Um, there's different styles of selling. There's arbitrage, which is where you basically go buy a product from somewhere else and then you resell it. A great way to do that is to go to like Walmart, Target, get clearance items that are very cheap, and then go sell them for full price on Amazon.
And let
Another
me just
way that
let me just
yeah, go
interject.
ahead.
And the reason why that would be good is because just because it's on clearance where you're at doesn't mean it's on clearance somewhere else.
Exactly. And
And
thank you for bringing
right,
that up.
right.
That was a huge point that like didn't click with me at first. I was like, well, it's on clearance, and then I was like, well, I'm selling to people in different states who, they are not uh, they don't necessarily have it on clearance. Or for instance, like a great thing is like when seasons change,
Mhm.
certain areas are still going to be hot or certain areas are still going to be cold. And so then, you could sell it what's, on clearance because in
Mhm.
New York here, it's winter time, summer clothes are on sale. Sell summer clothes to like California or, Texas where it's still warm.
Mhm.
Um, and stuff like that. Another way to sell things is coupon arbitrage, which a lot of people don't know about. That's actually how I got started. And what that is there's a bunch of different coupon websites where people will put their product up for like 90% off. And it's so that they can get some, traction going on their sales and get some sales and, but
Yeah.
what you do is you go buy it for like the 90% off using the coupons that they give out, and you just resell it on Amazon. It was funny when I started. A lot of stuff I was buying from Amazon, getting shipped to me, and then I'd put it all in a bigger box, ship it right back to Amazon, and sell it. And I, was making good money. And that's when I realized I was like, this is not a scam. This is real. It works. Because all of a sudden I was getting paid from selling these coupon things. I was like, this is the easiest thing to do. I just get shipped
Wow.
something, rebox it, ship it back. I don't deal with customers. I don't deal with shipping other than to Amazon, and they unload it and everything. And so I was just like, this is awesome.
See,
And
that's it.
that's
That's it. That's. I'm sorry to interject, but that's
no,
interesting
please.
because the cool thing about the marketplace, right? You have people that have different goals, and it seems to me like in the real estate market, in Amazon, no matter what market you're looking at, there's always going to be people that are looking for liquidity, trying to
Yep.
get money, or trying to get sales or trying to get different things, which ends up being an opportunity for someone else looking for something different. And just like you,
Exactly.
you know, like that, like the people that are given coupons, they're looking for sales to generate, get faster sales, I guess, or a higher rank, which makes them look better. The listing gets better, so you know it looks. But it provides an opportunity for you to come along, buy products at very cheap prices. Then you know it helps you make. So that's interesting. That's another concept that I think people need to hone in on. That just because it may seem saturated, there are always opportunities there because
Absolutely.
people are looking for different goals. And you know, if someone's looking at this goal, well, then you can look at this goal that complements that goal, if that makes sense. So that's
Absolutely.
interesting. I
And
never heard that.
yeah, I was like blown away. And every time I talk to other Amazon sellers and I bring up coupon arbitrage, they've never heard of it. And so it's one of those things that's not very popular out there.
Man, you're getting me interested
Honestly,
in it.
it was really easy because like you talk about saturation and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I was only buying one product at a time. So I just had to sell one, which if you're on Amazon, most of the stuff sells, at least like 30 units a month. So it's very easy to pick up just one of those items and then resell it. And you don't have to worry about it being saturated because you only have to get rid of one.
Hmm.
And so I found that to be a really easy entry into Amazon. And by doing that, I got to learn how the business side worked, how the back end of Amazon worked, and everything. But it's also a great way if you're just starting to build up capital because you might not have like $1,000 to get started or 5,000 to get started. So that's a great way to slowly build up with like $20 and just keep reinvesting it until you get up to $1,000 or so.
See, that's really interesting because you know, just by you going that route, you're helping them out because you're raising the listing, but at the
Yep.
same time, you know, obviously you're helping yourself out, but that's a really fascinating concept because it's almost like you're helping. Okay, so let's think of it like this, right? There's a dam, right? So you know
Mm-hmm.
the water needs to flow. You come along and you buy that package, which helps force the flow go, right? You know,
Yep.
get over the dam, and then you go right along, and then you put your product right back into the water,
Yep.
which will flow because the listing gets higher. So
Absolutely.
that's that's pretty ingenious, actually. That's huh. That's neat. Continue on. I'm
I
sorry. I just
I have to
that was
say, well,
exciting. I
I
was
have
like,
to
oh, that's
say
really
though,
neat.
I did end up keeping some items for myself just because they were so cheap and they're such like crazy cool items and like a lot of the
What
coupon products
what was the
are
neatest one you got?
it was like a Roomba knockoff kind of.
Oh,
It's called the Muka, and we use it every day, and
yeah.
it's been a blessing because, like, having a little kid who drops cereal everywhere and stuff like that, it just goes around and cleans it all up, and we don't have to worry about him, eating stuff off the floor, and
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Well,
so that was probably the most useful of all of them. There's a lot of other like cool things. I got like a great set of speakers, and they were like $10. Oh, my wife. I really wanted to sell this, but my wife, she really liked it, so I was like, I have to give it to her, and so I
uh,
ended up giving it to her for an early birthday present. But what it was is a makeup box,
uh,
and the actual box opens up. It looks like a suitcase, like you'd see in the movies that have all the cash in it.
all
It's like
right.
this big metal suitcase, and then you open it up, and there's like three light bulbs on each side that you can adjust the intensity on.
Oh,
So
neat.
that, and there's a mirror right there, and there's like pull out trays so you can like store all your makeup. But it looks like a movie star like green
Yeah.
room kind of thing where they go in and they do their makeup. And she loves that. She uses that like every day. And that was like something I bought for $20 and it sold for 120.
Wow.
But yeah,
Wow.
that's what I'm
So,
saying. Like some of the stuff is
how do
ridiculous.
you find these deals, or how do you? That's interesting. Like,
Um, there's a whole bunch of coupon websites and more keep popping up because a lot of people try to create new products and then they
Mhm.
want a way to sell them. So there's these coupon websites. One of them was Vipon, VIPON .com, and Vipon was a great place. You could sort it by discounts and stuff like that. And honestly, it's a great place to if you're in a pinch and you want to like buy a great gift, but you don't have a ton of money at the moment. It's a great way to buy gifts at
That's-
discount.
dude, that's that. That was worth the show right there. Thanks, everybody. Have a great time. No, seriously, man. I had no, that's funny. I mean, and that's what's interesting is like, we could talk about all this different stuff. I mean, you and I have talked about different ideas for a year now. And it's just interesting because like even now you still find new and different opportunities. And Justin says, this is very interesting. I totally agree. I think that is very interesting. I'm about to start my gifts are about to get better and I'm about to get cheaper. So no. Okay, so there's offline arbitrage, which we've already talked about, where you go to different stores that are on discount. There's online arbitrage where you can, basically what you're talking about, where you can find a discount or a coupon that you can then turn around and sell for more. What else?
There is creating your own brand, which it also goes along with private label. Basically, you go find a factory somewhere or someone who manufactures a product, and you talk to them about using their facility to either create your own or to create a similar version of that product. And that's a lot more money up front, just because you're buying inventory, and you want to make sure you don't run out when you finally launch your products. So you have to buy quite a bit of excess inventory. Right. But honestly, that's a lot of fun. And that's something that I'm going to get into in my later years of Amazon, just because you get to solve problems, come up with a better version of a product, or just create something really cool that you can, give out to people that they're going to enjoy. And it's got a good return on investment on it. Once you get started, it's a lot of work up front, but then it's very profitable. In fact, there's this guy who has one company, and they're actually launching 10 products within 100 days. So every 10 days, they're going to launch a new product.
Oh, wow.
And they've got it all figured out to a T, where they can tell you how much they're going to spend on it, how much they're going to generate from it. Just because they've been doing this for so long, they can calculate everything. And it's amazing what they do. So that's another one. Another, and this is my preferred way of selling on Amazon, is to resell brand names. So I would find products like Sony, Nintendo, and even smaller brands and stuff like that. And I go to their company and find out who their distributors are, and go talk to distributors and place an order with them. And that is my favorite, because there's a lot less hassle to deal with it, because it's brand name products. There's people who are already out there looking for it. They want it. There's, usually less returns, because it's a product that's already had its own market research done. So that way it's literally just going out and building a relationship with a supplier and ordering, hundreds of units and just selling them on Amazon, and then reordering again. And there's a lot of opportunity buys where the supplier might send you a one item that is very profitable, and you buy that once and sell it. But it's a lot of fun, because you get to just chat with a lot of big companies, and you're in a great position of where you're there to help them and they're there to help you. And so you have this kind of alliance of, hey, we're there to make each other money.
And I guess the biggest hurdle is excuse me. I guess the biggest hurdle is developing the relationship at first, because, what was it? I think I wrote it the other day. Something is built at the speed of trust. And I can't remember what the first part was.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically that's the concept. Like, you have to, first off, break the wall, so to speak, right? Because they don't know who Tim Izzo is. They certainly don't know who Joshua Jack is. So just like any relationship that you have with people that you don't know yet, you have to break the ice and then develop that relationship to warm up, and then eventually they trust you because they realize you're not an idiot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, because in business, and we've talked about this before, especially with Amazon, since the bar of entry is relatively easy to get in,
it is.
There's a lot of people out there. So at the very beginning of your career in Amazon FBA or Amazon selling products or online stuff like that, it's very saturated.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, as you develop your knowledge and your relationships, you get bigger and better. And then that's where the people that don't have the staying power start dropping off, right?
Absolutely.
Because they realize, oh my gosh, this actually takes work. This isn't a get rich
Yeah.
quick thing overnight success, and so yeah, so that's interesting. So so for those that are listening, this isn't a get rich.
No, and
Nothing
if it
kidding.
is, I would be a little bit worried because you probably did something that's against Amazon's terms of service. You found a product that might not be legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it could totally happen. You could totally. I mean, my first product I did really well on, and then I tried to source it again, and I could not find somebody carrying it,
Mm-hmm.
and so unfortunately, it didn't work out as well as I wanted, but. Most of the times that I found people who did really well, got rich quick,
Yeah.
they did something that was not, on the up and up,
Right.
or they found out later it came to bite them in the butt that, they were sourcing something, they got terrible reviews for it because it ended up being, a broken product batch or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, and it's one of those things that you want to take time with because, like you said, the longer you stay with it, so many people fall off, and then you're that much further to getting to that one supplier who can take you to $1 million. And
Right.
that's really all it takes is one supplier who not a lot of people have reached out to because they didn't go through all the hurdles,
Mm-hmm.
and that person, and they know that they have great products that can get you rich, so they create a little bit more hurdles too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they might not answer your calls right away, they might say they're not interested, but if you keep calling and trying to build a relationship with them, be friendly,
Right.
eventually they're like, hey, this guy is serious about business, and they eventually want to do business with you. And then
Mm-hmm.
once that happens, it's you can take your business to the next
And,
level and keep
and,
scaling it.
and going back to that people fall off by the wayside is, and that's the biggest reason why some of these suppliers don't want to work with
Absolutely.
Amazon FBA, because they've kind of created uh, they got stereotyped, right? Like people get
Yeah.
an Amazon. I'm an Amazon's reseller. Oh, I don't want to deal with you because I've been burned so many times by helping others that A, didn't know what they were doing, and then B, just embarrassed everybody involved.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
and so that's where the staying power and the networking and the continued providing value to people. And I think a lot of people forget that, and it's not just in the Amazon business; it's in every business. The value of just being a good person.
Yeah, absolutely. It's number one, and it's gotten to the point where I've met suppliers who are very business oriented. They just want numbers, and they don't really build a relationship. And I found that they were not great suppliers to generally work with. It's the people who ended up being good hearted people that want to take the time to build with you,
Hmm.
and those are the people that actually are willing to wiggle on prices and willing to, if you have some sort of issue with how they're set up, they're willing to restructure their business to make it work with you because they're in it to build a relationship as well. Those are the better suppliers than the ones who
Well,
just
and that's
are
true.
cold.
Well, that's true. Like when you develop a relationship and you become friends, obviously you want your friends to do well, right?
Yeah.
So like if I have a business and Tim, you come along and you want to sell my products, and then I like you, well, gosh, I'm gonna start throwing some more stuff your way, or hey, did you think about this? So yeah, no, that I totally get that. So when and actually Greg has a question, and we'll get to that in a second. Greg has this question: how is selling Amazon different from eBay? That's a great question, Greg. And before we get into that, I just wanted to talk about. Actually, go ahead. Never mind. We'll go ahead and answer that now.
um, it's a bit different. With eBay, you pretty much have to ship the stuff yourself. Although they do have fulfillment centers that they are testing, but it's only open to a select few. You have to be a experienced Amazon seller, and you have to be selling quite a bit. But with eBay, it's less people are shopping on eBay, so there's less traffic going to your products. And on eBay, it's also you make your own listing for your product, whereas on Amazon, there's generally supposed to be one listing, and everybody hops onto that.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
Another thing is, like I said, a huge difference is the warehousing. Amazon's got warehousing, and they will do customer service for you. They will do the shipping for you, whereas on eBay, you have to do all the customer service yourself, which I find I give more returns on eBay just because I'd rather keep the customer happy. Um, Whereas on Amazon, I think there's more pressure for people to kind of fight the returns because there's a lot of bogus returns and whatnot, and we have the ability to fight it without affecting our um, reviews as much as they are affected on eBay. One of the other differences is eBay has a greater selection of stuff that you can sell. Like on Amazon, you can't really like buy a house or a car, but on eBay you can. Um, Amazon doesn't tend to do too many collectibles. eBay does.
Hmm. So that's interesting. Yeah, no. So with Amazon, like you said, you're only going to find one product, and then under that
Yep.
product, you're going to see like different listings of the different people that sell it, right? And then some people have
Yep.
like Prime, fulfilled by Amazon, and others don't, and they fulfill it themselves. Whereas with eBay, you'll see like 100 different listings of the same product, and then there's just a bidding war because so eBay, they're both marketplaces, but they're both very different in the way they're set up.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And then Chris asks this: can you offer service along after the sale of Amazon on Amazon?
What do you mean by like service? Like a kind of like a warranty sort of thing, or just because you can do certain things, but there's a lot of rules with the terms of service of Amazon. They don't want you to steal customers off of Amazon. So as long as you talk to the customer on Amazon, or if you shipped out a package, you sent them, a letter or a little business card that could, maybe take them somewhere else. But um, you're not supposed to steal customers, so you can't really help them too much afterwards unless they contact you first, and then you can keep up with them.
Well, I think it depends on and here again, I could be totally off because I'm not there. But what I'm thinking is like if it's your product, like okay, let's say that you own the rights to sell a product. Well, then yes,
Sure.
because it's your product. But I think if you're on the listing of other products, it'd be kind of hard to do, right?
Well, no matter
Make
what, you can't try to drive people off of Amazon. That's just against their terms of
well,
service.
okay, so Chris says this. Yes, filter changes more specifically. So what I'm guessing is, and I know Chris, he has a water filtration system, and so he wants to sell the unit, right? So
Sure.
what I'm thinking is, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, if you want to pop on the comment, how could you sell? I mean, so I guess the question is if he sells that on Amazon, could he offer like a subscription?
Yes.
Right.
The way that you would have to do that is it's kind of you're going around Amazon is to when you sell the unit at first or whatever you sell on Amazon, make sure you put in like a business card and tell them that like, go to our website to activate your warranty. Now you have people on your website and that way
Oh,
you can keep up with
collect their
them.
email too,
So,
right?
yep.
If
So
you
you
want the
have to
warranty,
create,
this is how you get it.
yeah.
Smart.
Yep. That's the way around it. So you have to create a legitimate reason for them to have to go to your website, like warranties.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
ingenious right there. Greg says, "Thanks for the explanation." No, Greg,
Oh, no
thank you for the
problem.
question. Thank you for the question because, like I said, this show is all about participation with the audience. Rebecca says, "Unless you cede certain rights to Amazon in exchange for being allowed to list." She's a lawyer. She's talking lawyer speak. I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, you could try that. I don't know. It's probably been done successfully. Amazon does make exceptions for people when they shouldn't. But You probably could do that. I mean, you could also put in the description of your company, what you do, and you could say that you do the maintenance on the service on filters, and then people will be probably Googling your company name after that.
And I guess that would be more so for, like I said, like a proprietary system, more so than if many different people have the system, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be the difference, is like, widget A selling widget A, and then 10 people selling widget A, or some widget, but they're all very different resellers. So I guess that would be the difference. So from my understanding, and here again, I'm trying not to get convoluted. So if anyway, so in the hierarchy of Amazon. Okay, so is there anything else? Like, okay, so we covered arbitrage. We covered private label, or getting your own type of product, and we covered reselling. What other?
I mean, there's other things you could do on Amazon. Not so much FBA though. Like brand management. Like after you start to learn how Amazon works and stuff like that, you can actually go to brands that you see have multiple sellers on it that's not the actual brand, and you can write to them and tell them how you want to manage their
That's a
SKUs.
topic for another show. That's a topic for another show.
It should be. It should be, honestly. That's a whole different ballgame. But
That's a whole another.
But I do want to talk about how simple it is to get started on Amazon. You literally just go to I mean, you can Google.
Let me bring up this comment real quick. Rebecca says, I don't know what the agreement list with Amazon contains, so you can give up the right to do certain things like contact customers outside of Amazon in exchange for access to Amazon massive customer. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so yeah. He might be able to. But yeah, so this is like all it takes just to get started on Amazon. Right. As long as you have an email address, preferably business, so you can keep things separate, right. A chargeable credit card, so one that's not maxed out, a government ID, so your driver's license or any kind of government issued ID, your tax information, which I would hope you'd have anyways, a phone number.
If you don't have a business, which would be your social security number, but if you do have a business, then
yes, exactly.
So you would go through your you go through IRS and get your tax EIN number, which stands for
FEIN, federal.
EIN, employee identification number, I think. EIN. Employer identification number. I was right.
Employer. Yeah. Yep. And I started with just my social security, and I turned it into an LLC, but I did my social security with a DBA. And so that was like very simple. And all you need is your phone number and a bank account where they can send the money you make from sales.
Okay.
And that's it. And so you can get in very easily.
All right. So what are the biggest hurdles that you see right off the bat? Like, okay, so, well, first off, you need a name. Right? That's the biggest hurdle. Yep. I mean, because this, because you're sort of creating a brand, and then also when you go talk to suppliers, you need to kind of keep that in mind too. Like if you create a name that says Toys R Us, not toys, I sell toys, and then you go out and you start chatting up suppliers that sell something completely different. Well, you may want to think about that.
Yep.
And I guess the thing is when you get involved in business, what is it that you're trying to accomplish, right?
Exactly.
I've
seen so many people get upset that there's a electronics company that ended up selling makeup, and people were all upset that they're like, why is this electronics company? The only reason they knew it was an electronics company was because their name was like electronics, plus or something like that. And then they're selling makeup, and people were upset about that, which I don't understand necessarily unless the products were, bad, but I sell everything. So, and kind of go with what you were just saying, like that's my goal right now, is to build a business and build money.
Right.
I'm not looking to be specific and create a niche yet. That is the goal in the end, and eventually creating private label.
You bring up a good point. So the hierarchy of Amazon FBA. So the hierarchy would be, for someone that doesn't have a whole lot of money that's getting started, would be the arbitrage, right? So
Absolutely.
This is how you learn the system. This is how you learn Amazon. This is how you learn by not putting down a whole lot of money right off the bat, right? So, going to your coupon sites, getting things for cheap, learning how the system works. And then as you get more proficient, then you start moving up to the reseller part, where you start contacting. This is how I'm thinking about it, and correct me if I'm wrong. And so the next step is the reselling part, where you start reaching out to suppliers, and then you start selling, and then you start and obviously you're reinvesting all this back into your business, because you can't eat your profits. You gotta let it grow. And then I guess the end game, or the next step. So first step is arbitrage through various ways of doing it, and actually, a lot of people make quite a bit of money just from arbitrage.
Easily
it's amazing.
6 and 7 figures. It's crazy. It's a
hustling,
lot of work.
You're going to be hustling your rear. But if that's something you're into, you can do that. But then also reselling, which is also very profitable. And then the next step, I guess, would be the private label, or
creating your own brand,
or creating your own product. Right. So both.
Yeah.
Because obviously that takes a lot more money, because you got to, that's what you're focusing on. So, that's what you're buying. So, okay.
I would say most of the, 10 million to 100 million plus sellers on Amazon do both. They resell brand name products, but most of the time they've turned into more of creating private label products. That's where a lot of their money comes from, a lot of profit. Mm-hmm. Just because you make a good money reselling, you make a lot of good money, but there's just so much more in your own product, and then you have less hassle because it's your own product. You don't have to worry about other people hopping on your listing, because it's your listing,
right?
It's your product, and you can kick them off and stuff like that. So that is kind of like the end goal, and then above that would be the brand management, but.
And
that is for another day.
Which, by the way, if you want us to consult with you, we can totally do that. Tim can do that, not I.
But. Another thing I wanted to bring up, and we kind of already touched on it a little bit, is that like we said, the arbitrage is a lot of hustling, and then once you switch over into reselling, you actually have to get 2 additional things that are not on the list that I said. You have to go to your state and get a tax collecting certificate. It's called Certificate of Authority, and or business, and so then you can collect the tax in your state, which you won't have to in most states because Amazon does that for you. But you still need it anyways. And then you also have to get a reseller's license, which sometimes it's not even a license. It's just the piece of paper that you fill out one half of it, and then the seller fills out the other half. And that's how it is in New York. So I just send them that document, and that's it. So it's very simple. But
now remember, folks, this is Bad Answers, so it may not work in your area. It might be something different. So be sure, this is the disclaimer part.
Yeah, look it up.
Be sure to reach out to your legal and tax professionals to do it correctly.
Yes, please. But with the reselling, it is a lot more hands off. Less hustling, in the sense that you now have a little bit more money, so you're spending a $5,000 or $2,000 on an order, but in most cases I don't even touch it. I know the supplier. I've asked them for pictures previously to make sure that's the correct product, and now I trust them and I build a relationship. So I just order products, and I print out the labels so that they can be shipped directly to Amazon's warehouses, and the supplier will actually ship them for me.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't have to touch the product at all. I literally just let it go into Amazon. Once I bought it, I don't really deal with it anymore, unless there ends up being an issue with it, like a return or something.
Right. So that's interesting, because as you create systems, right? So you're developing the network with relationships. with with these people that you're dealing the business with, right? And then over time you develop these systems of supply and resupply. My dogs are getting antsy, so for those of you that are watching on podcast or listening on podcast, and that momentary mind mess on my end, I think I covered it all right. But my dogs are listening to something outside, and I think I might let them outside. So continue on. 1 second.
Sure. But yeah, it's you get to move product at a much higher volume, and it's easier business at that point because you're just moving so much product.
I missed that. I'm sorry.
You told me to go on, so I went on.
Yeah, I know. It didn't take me that long to open the door, so.
No, I was just saying that with the reselling, you're moving a lot more product, and it's a lot easier because I'll buy 100 units of something, and then I don't touch it. It gets automatically put onto the listings, and then Amazon ships it out, and I receive my money from it.
And now, I guess there's a certain point where you see saturation, and then that's when you start branching out into other products. Yes. Or, how do you know? I guess just I guess you do data mining. I can't even talk. You do data mining to figure out when it's saturated, I suppose, right? How does that
data
work?
Mining? Well, basically, there's algorithms that are able to figure out how many units a month roughly are being sold based on the product's rank. So the closer a product is to number one rank, that makes it a bestseller. And so eventually, the farther you are away from it, actually, you hit a point where there's zero sales. And so they can figure out from the zero sales and to the point where it's just starting to make sales, roughly how many sales are going on. And there's programs that will just scrape the data from Amazon and will be able to tell you how many sales are roughly happening per month. And they calculate how many sales are happening. There's also ways to rough calculate. Basically, you can look at the reviews, and if there's per review that was made during that month, you times it by 75. And that's how many units are roughly selling, which is kind of an interesting fact to know that 1 out of 75 sales or even 100 sales is roughly when finally one person leaves a review. So that makes it kind of tougher. Yeah, it's tough for us sellers sometimes because we want to get reviews.
So it takes roughly 75 purchases to get one review. I mean, roughly. Yeah. I mean, okay. Roughly, well, that's interesting. I never heard of that ratio. So that's interesting.
And that's very rough because of different products people are going to be excited about and blah blah. But
and then people usually leave bad reviews because heck, they have time for that, but rarely do they have time to. It's kind of like go ahead.
No, you.
I was just gonna say it's kind of like something I put on Facebook the other day. It's amazing how some names pop up just to be negative and not very positive sometimes. It's like, really, you spent all that time to do that? Okay, thanks. All right,
absolutely.
Hey everyone, like I said, if you have some questions, be sure to put them in the comments because, like I said, this show is about answering questions badly, or as badly as we can. No, as good. As good as we can in a bad manner, or as bad as we can in a good manner. I don't know. Anyway, trying to be funny here. It doesn't work all the time. But so yeah. I mean, I guess it comes down to just people making a decision and doing it.
Absolutely, and it's a lot easier than I ever expected, to be honest. The toughest part, though, was myself. Right. And I think that would be congruent with most people who start. Right. You have to get out of your own way. I started off selling toys and video games because that was something that I felt I knew most about, which was great for me. I could quickly find products and be like, this is going to sell well. This is, whatever. But video games are very saturated.
You get some for yourself, and that's not a bad thing.
I did do that. So but it's video games are very saturated. So in the beginning, I wasn't getting as much return on my money as I would like to see, and that's when I realized that I was doing myself a disservice, and I had to get out of my own way. And that's when I changed my goal from kind of trying to be in a niche to just let's just make money because I need to build my business, get up there, and then I have the ability to do decision making like that and be a little bit more picky. And so now I sell everything. As long as it's something that can get me, a good amount of sales with a good amount of return on my money, then I'll sell it.
See, and I think you bring up a very good point there. I think people attach emotion
Oh
to
my gosh,
business.
yeah.
They attach
Yeah,
emotion
don't
to
do it.
business. Yeah, exactly. Kind of like you stuck with something you knew because it was comfortable and it made you feel good. It's something and it's something you enjoyed. I mean, we all do it.
Yeah.
But once you start seeing the folly of that and you just start attaching numbers and you start actually going, not becoming emotionless, but becoming more logical, I guess would be the word, and getting out of your own way,
Yeah.
right? Once you start just following, hey, this is in order for me to reach my goal, I need to quit thinking this way of maintaining my comfort zone or maintaining so it's just, and then also the value you put to it as well. I mean, obviously there's some things we wouldn't do, right? I mean, we wouldn't ever sell things that we know would be harmful, right? I mean, there's
exactly.
a certain moral hopefully people wouldn't cross, but when it comes down to the numbers, it's all about making money. It's all about developing systems to make that money. And let's see, Rebecca says that is profitable, but do you find it undermines brand recognition by being too broad? That's two very different things. I mean, go ahead.
For me, no, because I'm not building a brand right now. Even though I do have a company name, and I kind of think of it as a brand because I'm thinking in the future. It's not a brand right now, and on Amazon, nobody's looking to buy from me as a brand. So nobody's like really going to my seller account, looking at all the products I sell and buying just from me. They most of the time just go to whatever pops up on their Amazon search, and hopefully I'm just selling that product at the time, which, and I try to do in most cases if I can. But so for now, I don't think most people actually look at the names of the sellers when they're buying products on Amazon. I never used to.
You're right. I mean, like, I order stuff from Amazon all the time, and it's just like, I don't know who these people. I mean, like, I can't remember who these people
and
are.
I'll be honest, this is like one of the
Unless they're
dumbest
an
things.
unless they're an electronic company selling, makeup, then I remember that.
I used to think that to sell on Amazon, you either had to be like, working with Amazon, or you had to somehow get like grandfathered in because your parents owned a company or a brand or a store or something like that. I didn't realize that anybody could do it. And then once I did that, I realized that there's anybody selling this stuff on there. And
she brings up a point. Go ahead. She says,
bring it up.
I only look if it's Prime. Right.
And that's the beauty of selling on FBA. When it's fulfilled by Amazon, it automatically becomes Prime. And so then that's how I get more sales. And actually being a Prime seller gives you it gives you leverage to winning the sale. Because Amazon wants to do the shipping themselves because they know they can get to you in 2 days.
So I guess the biggest deal is, what she was talking about as far as building the brand. When you get to the point of brand recognition, that's when you want to start looking into your own product.
Yes.
Right. So at that point, like once you go to private label, where you're, either buying a product and turning it around and selling it under your own name, or you create your own product and you sell that, like you change it up a little bit, you go find a manufacturer. That's when you get into the brand part of it. And then that's when you would only focus on selling those things, because then people would start remembering, oh, well, I got this cup by this name because this is their cup, right? But when you're not at that level and you're just selling stuff, like, I don't know who that person is. They sold it at a good price, and I'm getting it from whoever, because people, yeah. So I guess that's where the divide is.
And what I would do personally, and when I'm gonna start building brand recognition and stuff like that, I would actually call up Amazon and ask them if I can create a second account. They allow that if you ask for permission and you have a specific thing you're doing with that account. It's not there to sell the same products that you're already selling.
Right.
That's against the terms of service. But
that makes sense.
If you're like, I'm only going to sell this, or this is my brand, I'm going to do that, then they'll allow it. And then at that point, I will be worried about, the recognition and everything. And that's why I want to keep it separate.
No, that makes
But
sense.
honestly, it's a great question because it's weird how the sell part of Amazon works. You think that like most people would recognize who they're buying from, but in a lot of cases they don't. And that was something that really opened up my eyes.
They'll only remember if it's bad service.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like if they don't get the product or the product's crappy, they'll go back and be like, "Wow, that electronics for whatever is
Yep.
like bad makeup or whatever." So yeah, we had some really
And
good.
most people. Oh, one last thing. Most
Yeah.
people don't realize that there are reviews for the seller, and then there's reviews for the product, and they're separate. So when you go,
Oh.
like, let's say you search, let's say Kool-Aid or something, and then you look at Kool-Aid, you could see the reviews right under the title. That's for the product only. You have to look at all the sellers to see what their reviews are, and I highly suggest you do that if you're going to buy from somebody who's not Amazon.
Well, that's true.
Just
But
because.
no, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's been times where I've saw something cheaper, but I saw like 3 stars or 4 stars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not really interested. That
And
depends on the ticket. Like if it's just a used book, okay, whatever. But if it's like a electronics or something higher ticket, I'm like, I think I'll go with the Prime, even if I had to pay a little bit more.
Exactly. I'll always look at their reviews, and especially the most recent one, because sometimes that product you're gonna buy will show up in their reviews, and they got like a batch that was not good, and they're trying to sell it quickly on Amazon. So it's good to look at their reviews and make sure that they're not currently doing that, and they've gotten bad reviews, because you don't want to be another customer screwed over by them.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I think that was an awesome show, man. I think we covered a lot.
I hope so.
I think there was a lot of gold nuggets tonight. We got some really good questions, and thank you so much for those that are watching. What's up with the sad face? We got a sad face on it.
You got a sad face? I didn't even see that.
Yeah, someone that they probably accidentally put that on there. I mean, because like if someone's watching on the phone and they try to like put a like, sometimes the thing comes up and they put the wrong thing. But I see it. I see it in real time. So I saw immediate. I guess they're sad that the show's over, and that's great.
Exactly.
But anyway, I think tonight was a fantastic show because, like I said, we talked about something that was really important, and I think we brought a lot to light that a lot of people can think about. Bad review. That's right. It was a bad review, Rebecca. Thank you. But remember, like I said, if you want us to cover a question or a topic in the future, be sure to reach out to us at goodquestionsbadanswers@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me or us through Facebook. We're more than happy to cover any questions that you would like to cover. And remember, like I said, we're getting back to where we started, and that is to answer questions. So if you're listening to this on podcast, be sure to give us a review on the platform you're listening to us at. And if you know someone that will get benefit out of this show, be sure to share it with them. This will be up on YouTube tomorrow. We also have like I said, we do have a YouTube channel. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you like the video, be sure to like it. Also, be sure to like our Facebook page, because this is where we meet, and this is where we meet with our with you, the viewer, because like I said, without you, there is no show. So we're here to answer your questions badly, or I mean, it's tongue in cheek. Obviously, we tried to do our best, but the disclaimer's in the name. So, but Tim, do you have anything else you want to add real quick? Or?
If you guys have any more questions about Amazon, please put them, write an email to us, and we'll include them in future episodes.
Yeah, exactly. And if you need help getting started, we'll help you. We will help you get started. So
absolutely,
because that's the kind of people we are. So, all right, everyone, thank you so much for your time, and we will see you guys next week. Which we don't know what next week will be, but if you want to send us a topic, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Send it to
it can be whatever you guys want.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it a great episode.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, not only are we going to cover stuff like Amazon, but we'll cover whatever, but nothing political, or try not to be. It's one thing to, hit top of the waves politically, but I don't want to turn this into a political show. So, all right, everyone, take care. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Tim, thank you so much for another awesome evening.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, the viewer and listener. Thank you. Take care. We'll see you next week.